Are we ready to go? Ready to start?
Ready to go. I've been recording.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Yep.
So ready to go
All
then?
right. Yep.
Alrighty. So Susan, you wanna go first? Should I introduce us?
Well, hi, welcome to TeenTalks, and I am Susan. I'm the parent.
And my name is Rehan, and I am the not so much of a teenager anymore, but closer to being a teenager because I'm 20. So I just finished being a teenager. But Susan, that was good. That was a really good intro. For the first intro that we've done, that was spot on. You did a good job. Did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a podcast where we talk about the relationship between teenagers and parents. We talk about all the layers and the intricacies when it comes to both. And yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to, just talk about all these different things and exchange and give two perspectives on it as well. And yeah, we're looking forward to sharing that with you all, and it's going to be fun. So this is what, episode 2?
Episode 2. Wow.
Look at that. We're going strong.
Yeah.
We're keeping at it.
That's kind of fun because we haven't even met each other in person. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and you're in.
I'm in France, on the west coast of France, which is crazy. I mean, to know that it's awesome how technology is able to like bring us together, right?
Yeah.
Considering that, I'm on one side of the world and you're on the other side of the world, and we're able to do this. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you normally live in Toronto, Canada.
Yes.
He's a Canadian.
From Toronto. Canadian, eh? I think that's the stereotypical thing that people say about us, but
yes.
yeah.
And you're a whole lot of fun, so I remember. Every Canadian I've met.
Yeah, I honestly love Canada. If it wasn't for my soccer, I'd definitely I'd be in Canada. I'd be there.
Yeah.
For sure. No doubt about it. Yeah.
Pretty nice. I live real close to Canada. BC, other side of the country.
West side.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's dive in.
Let's go straight into it.
What do you want to talk about today?
So I have one question, because obviously, you've been putting out these Instagram reels recently, and I've been loving them. They've been so good, sharing different stories and things like that. They've been awesome. One of them really stood out, and it was the one where you were talking about this, I call it the tomato story. And I don't even want to get into it that much, but I want you to just kind of, maybe reiterate what that reel was and share, story behind it and what it means, and we can kind of dive into that, because I absolutely loved that reel. It was really good.
Okay, well, thank you, because doing reels is out of my comfort zone. It's new to me. So but yeah, it all started because I have a friend, and she texted me, and she's got the most adorable little kids, and her little 3-year-old, she said, unbeknownst to me, my little daughter has befriended a tomato, and she takes this little tomato and she treats it like it's just her little baby, and she makes sure that her mom tucks her into bed every night with her, and she bathes the tomato and all this. It goes with her. She's got to make sure it's taken care of. But the funny thing is that tomatoes get rotten after a while, so mom gets a new tomato and slips it in there, and she has no idea mom's doing that. And so it's just a cute example of how a parent can support a passion. Because obviously this is a passion for this little girl. Yeah. It's a little crazy, but when you're 3, that's okay. Don't do this when you're a teen, then that's kind of weird. But it's a great example of how a parent can support, encourage, believe in the passion of the child, and to actually do something to help it grow. And so to me, that's extremely important as a parent for what you should do for your child, especially teenagers. No matter how crazy it seems to you, it also makes me think of, I've heard multiple stories of parents pushing their kids, you want to be in in a career, you're going to make a lot of money. So, let's go into medical school, or let's go, become an attorney, or whatever it is. And the kid is just like, that's not what I want. I want to be a writer, or, or I want to be an athlete, or whatever. Right. And, so I've seen kids actually that I've worked with as they've grown, and they've gone the medical route because mom and dad wanted them to do that. And then they're not happy. They're not happy. It's not what they want. So what do you think about that?
There's so many like levels and directions that I can take this conversation that I want to go in. I'm thinking about the kid and how the kid's imagination is when they're younger, and then how that evolves over time. But also when it comes to like the parents, I mean, first of all, that just goes to show it's a representation of how much parents like truly love their kids, because all this belief and everything that they have, it's something that is represented in that story, right?
Yes.
So
totally.
it's really something that when I heard that story for the first time, I was like, wow, I could almost see my parents in the sense, sorry, there's a lot of noise, I know. I could really just picture my parents and the love that they had, for me and my sister, and supporting us throughout the years. And it's interesting how even if like this kid has this imagination, like tomato, taking care of it, and they like truly believe that it's thanks to them that this tomato is thriving. And it's so cool that the parent is able to then come in and support the kid in their belief,
right?
And I think that carries on, like that love is always there throughout. It's just that the connection then it changes because dynamics change. The kid becomes a teenager, the kid evolves as well and steps into who they are. So there are all these little things that come into play. And also, unfortunately, for whatever reason, whether it's society or influence from the outside world, that kid actually goes from having a super imagination to then limiting themselves in many ways. And that is really something that, I think we've all experienced personally as well. We go through life, and then all of a sudden, boom, like there are these things that happen to us in life, and we're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't believe in myself anymore. There's this self-doubt that starts coming in. Whereas when you're a kid, you can, like this, you believe that you're able to take care of this tomato, be friends with it, and you don't understand that, okay, the tomato is actually going to rot over time, inevitably. You don't understand that, but because of that belief, that imagination that you have, you're able to explore all these options, which is really cool.
Right. And so how that changes, I was just reading a book the other day, The 5 Regrets of the Dying or something, I think it is. Really good. But they were talking about one of those things is that, we all come in to this world as a little baby that has really no fears. I mean, other than, survival, right? But there's none of that stuff that's happened. They see everything with wonder. They have no hate. They just see everything as it is, and it's just beautiful. And then as we grow up, these things hit us, these little pains or whatever it is, or something happens to make us scared, or all these things build up. And wouldn't it be great if we could just go, take all that away and just be like we were when we were a baby, and full of wonder, excitement, and imagination.
For sure. Even I was talking like about this with my mom, and I'm just saying how we should strive to be more youthful in so many ways, because
play.
Exactly, like playing and just discovering and being open to all of these different things. Like it's something that we're losing more and more now. And I almost feel like even younger people are like, they're growing up so much faster. But what does that mean? It also comes with all of like everything you just talked about, the limitations and everything. So,
Yeah,
it's an interesting one to to handle.
it totally is, because yeah, so this brings me, Mother's Day was yesterday here, and the weather here was just so hot. My kids were going to plant these plants for me. They bought me plants for my birthday, and they said we'll put them in the ground. It was 90 degrees here yesterday and too hot. So instead, my daughter, I had talked to her earlier about, I'm getting older, and I think about what are the things I want to start doing again. I'm like, I want to start doing art again. So out of the blue, she asked her brother to bring some rocks, big rocks, and she pulled out all the paints, and we all sat around the table outside and painted rocks. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I forgot how fun this is. You know,
Yeah,
life got
it's
in the
like
way.
such
It's
a
like push away all the things that you used to love doing, and don't
mm,
do that.
yeah, and such simple things like that we almost like forget about and we don't do anymore. And those are the
And
things
when
that,
you're doing
bring
it,
us
you're
that
not
true
thinking about all the
happiness.
crap. You're not
Exactly.
thinking about all that other stuff. It's almost a form of meditation.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. But
yeah.
yeah, that's so it's almost like, from at least from my perspective, the way I see it is like my biggest takeaway from, the tomato story when I heard it was, I personally, I mean, I've been really blessed. My parents have supported me a lot when it has come to my dreams and my aspirations and my goals. Um, but I have experienced times where they've also not truly believed in me, and they've, had that doubt in me. And, I've had to deal with that, and that's fine. But what I took away from it was, if you're able to truly just support and almost believe in your kid as much as possible, then that goes such a long way, because that helps them believe in themselves as well. Right. And
It's
it kind of, it
yeah.
contributes to that energy, because like they're looking for that. They can believe in themselves as much as they can, but having that external support, it's a huge boost, right? It's everything.
Right, it is. And I've noticed just from raising my own kids is that the passion can sometimes it's one passion that just stays the whole time. Like you with soccer, it was
Mhm.
probably your main passion that stayed, although I know
Yeah.
you had others. But even supporting that passion here, that passion there when it changes, because you never know which is going to be the one that's going to blossom, or which
Yeah.
is going to be the one that takes them in the direction that they're supposed to go. And it may seem really off to you, but it's not you.
Yeah.
I think one thing us as parents have to remember, yes, they're our children, but they're not
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And I wanted my daughter to take dance lessons when she was
Mm.
little. She's like, no freaking way. I mean, she said it to me like not that way, but she was just like, I don't want to take dance lessons. I
Yeah.
want to play soccer.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did
I took
you
dance
did you
lessons.
ever so you took dance? Yeah.
I
So that's
took dance.
interesting. That's interesting, because it's like I remember even, my parents have told me stories, when they're trying to like teach me a lesson or something. Like they'd always go back to me and tell me like, okay, when I was your age, I was doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Um, and almost having that comparison. But then it almost became an unrealistic comparison, in the sense we're living in different times, things have changed, life has evolved. Like, when it comes to phones and stuff like social media, like, I don't know, I've heard this so many times where parents are telling their kids like, oh, just get off your phone. When I was your kid, I'd go outside and I'd, play with my friends outside. And I completely get that, because even I would, I can see the value in, yeah, going outside, playing with your friends, spending that quality time with people in real life. But at the same
Hmm.
time, the world has also evolved in such a way where, yeah, social media and all of this stuff, technology is so big, and it's just different. Life is different, and I'd like to kind of go into that with you, because I don't know exactly how your experience was, when you were a teenager.
Hmm.
And we can kind of like go off of each other's experiences, because I'm sure they're quite different,
Very.
considering, that,
And,
yeah.
some of it's the same and some of it's not. I mean, obviously, when you enter the adolescent years is your body and your brain is going out through so many transitions and changes and things like banging it together to try to figure out how to grow this body and brain and mind. And it's quite fascinating. Actually, I've been doing a lot of research about that. And it's necessary, and it can go in one direction or it can go in the other direction, depending on what you do with it. And as parents, we want to be the guide. But yeah, when I was a teen, we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We went out. We couldn't contact anybody. Our parents couldn't contact us. Totally different. So everything was in person, pretty much. It's like I'll meet you down and for me, it was like, hey, I'll meet you down at the tennis courts and we'll go do whatever. And our parents didn't know where we were and they couldn't contact us.
Yeah.
There was no contact, which to me right now as a parent, I'm like, oh, I don't know where they are and I can't get them. Oh my gosh, but we survived. But yeah, it is very hard as a parent of my age, and I'm older now even, to go just see them on the video games so much. My kids, I did the same thing. It was like, when are you gonna get off? That's just not good. And
Yeah.
But so what's the value? It's hard for me to see the value in staring at a screen and playing a game. I mean, I know that there's some games where you're connecting with other people and your friends maybe, but yeah, to me, that's a little bit, it's hard to understand.
Yeah. And I
So from
completely
your
get that.
perspective,
Yeah. Yeah, I completely get that. And it's so funny, like as you were saying, how parents like now, being in touch with your kid, whether it's through your phone or whatever, is so important. My mom, okay, I'm in France. My mom has like my location on, and she looks she makes sure like she knows where I am because she wants to make sure that I'm okay, right? And technology has allowed, us to do that and to be in a world where we can keep tabs on each other regardless of the distance that separates us.
Yeah.
But one thing that, when it comes to the whole technology side of things, like playing video games and stuff, like I never necessarily had, I didn't have like a PlayStation. I've never owned a PlayStation before. I've never, the only consoles that the consoles that I've owned were like the Nintendo DS, the Wii, and then I had an iPod Touch before I had my first phone.
Yeah.
But like that's what I had, and that is what I use as my technology and stuff like that. But the whole thing when it comes to playing the video games and stuff, I've played video games before and I've seen the enjoyment. And what it is essentially it's like playing a game the same way you play a game outside. It's just that you're playing it on this like controller with a screen, and you're almost getting the same thing. You're almost getting a similar experience. It's just that one is virtual and one is in the real world. So what I would say to that, what I would suggest, I mean, for teenagers, obviously, because the parents is something else, but if there are any teenagers who are watching this or listening to this, it is to find a balance. Find a healthy balance between the online stuff and the real world stuff, because the real world still matters. Going outside is still a way to have fun. It's still a way to do things, whether that is like an extracurricular, like doing a sport or something like that, or just hanging out with friends, going to see the sunset, going into nature. Like, I mean, there's so many little things that are amazing experiences that you can have in the real world.
Right.
And you can still, find time to play online or to interact with your friends online and do that stuff as well. So I'd just say, like, my advice, if I were to give advice, and you can take it, you don't have to take it, but it is to find that balance between the two.
And so you're putting that, so right now is you're telling the teen and you're putting it in their court to make that decision. What do you think, as a teen accepting what a parent might say, how can a parent better address that with their teen if they're constantly on it and they're not receptive to getting off? Do you have any suggestions on, like, if your parent was going, you're on there all the time, you need to get off, what would be the better way to maybe broach the subject that the teen's not going to just back off and say no, you know.
Yeah.
Got any
It's always tricky with this dynamic, because I feel like teenagers in general, maybe not in general, but from the way I imagine things, is like there's a bit of a rebellious phase as well with teenagers.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So like when parents tell them to do things, they almost like their first instinct is to do the opposite. Like, get off your screen, go away, mom, and then go
Yeah.
back to the screen. Stop playing your games and do your homework. Leave me alone, dad, and then goes back to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, and I think I say this all the time, but I think it is like we talked about this in last week's episode. It was to, you find when it comes to the foundation of a relationship, you have to understand, you have to ask why. And if you're able to identify and ask, like, or just understand, I guess, like, why are they on their screens this much? Like, maybe in the
Yeah.
real world, they're not, maybe it's something where they don't feel true connection with people in the outside world. And that's why they go back to being on their screens, because that's where they feel the true connection. Right.
Yeah.
And then that shifts perspective, because just imagine not knowing that the reason why your teen is spending so much time on their phone or on their computer or playing video games is because outside, their friends at school and stuff like that, like, they just don't connect with them. Maybe they don't have
Right.
true friends outside, and it's a different ball game, right? Because then you're taking things
Yeah.
from a different perspective. It's no longer get off your screen. It's like coming from a place of like understanding. It's like, okay, I know why. Now, how can we find a solution? And then, that's a good place to start.
And so you're doing it together rather than, again, the top down and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it is hard for us to understand. Me, I wouldn't even know how to play a video game, but I know that some parents do.
Mhm.
But yeah, the balance is a good thing to maybe work out together.
Yeah. And I think it is super important, and this is something that for people who have maybe preteens or younger teenagers, is to instill this in them as early as possible, because once you hit 16, 17, 18, I mean, you find your independence, you start driving if you're in the US or in Canada. You have all this, you start making decisions, you're in high school, I mean, you have a lot more freedom, which means that you start, making your own decisions, and then you start talking back, you start getting into that more rebellious, I guess, side of things. Whereas if you learn something early on, then you're more likely to take that with you. If it is learned the right way, then
Right.
you're more likely to take that with you moving forward. So if you have someone who's 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, and you're able to just show them, not necessarily teach them, but just show them through like demonstration or influence in some way, that having this balance of both is good and it is okay, then they're more likely to take that with them in the future, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they'll go through a phase where it'll be heavily unbalanced, one way or the other, but eventually they're going to go back to what they learned when they were, younger, because that's
Yeah.
a part of them, and then they're going to be able to really use it and cherish that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
That's a
think,
good
at least.
perspective.
I don't know what you think about that.
No, I agree. Start early, especially, um, start building that relationship
Yeah.
early. That's a mutual connection instead of the top down. And just let them know that they are seen and heard, and
Yeah.
that you respect them, and that you believe in them, and all those things I would have to say are the most important things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has been a really good conversation. Do you think that is there anything you want to add or bring up again, or?
Um, no, I think, yeah, we've talked about quite a bit already. I think we don't want to
Yeah.
make these too long either, because we don't want to take up too much time, and we want to give like micro doses of stuff. And but yeah, I think, yeah, this has been good. It's a good second
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
So do you take your soccer ball and tuck it into bed at night and
Don't make fun of me because okay, don't judge what I do. That soccer ball is my baby. I take care of
Yes.
it. But here's the thing. Do you know about the rice study, right? The rice in the jar,
Oh, yes.
the cooked
Why don't
rice.
you share it? Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sure many people know this story, but essentially there was a study that was done where someone cooked some rice and put it into two different jars. In one jar it was a positivity jar, and in the other one it was a negativity jar. In the positive jar, essentially they would just say like really nice things, take care of it, really be really kind, etc. To the negative one, they like completely trash talk the rice, say like you suck, you're not even cooked properly, like, just saying all this crazy stuff. And the rice that was in the positive jar actually stayed good longer than the negative one,
Wow.
which is absolutely crazy to think about, right? But
Right.
that
Yeah.
just goes to show like the energy that is put in is so important. So when I, do tuck my soccer ball into bed at night and I do tell it that I love it, it improves my performance on the field.
Yours, yeah.
Um,
I know.
no,
I've
I'm
heard
not.
that same study there with plants. They've done that where they've
Yes.
done it with different seeds and the same exact seeds, same environment and everything. In fact, they're even putting these in schools now, I've heard, which is
Mhm.
awesome. They have the kids go to one and they just say, "You're a terrible plant, you're blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah." And the other one, they praise, and you're so beautiful and everything. And then nothing on this one. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's incredible. The words that we use. They used to say, words can't hurt me, but they can.
Yeah. 100%.
And how we
100%.
treat each other and how we treat just that positivity, that energy is so real. And as parents, we got to remember that, because when we go to the negative, it damages. And everything we say, we need to be careful. I've said things that I just totally wish I didn't say. But yeah, it's so critical. And if it happens in
Yeah.
plants and rice, my gosh, what does it do to kids and
That's the
adults?
thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
yeah, I think that's what a way to end it. I mean, yeah, just like that positive energy, because it goes back to the tomato story as well. I mean, this taking care of the tomato, and that's like the same thing with the dream. If you give it that positive reinforcement and you keep
exactly.
pushing it, then you're nurturing it, you're helping it stay alive, you're keeping it alive in some way, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as
Beautiful.
I can only imagine, like as parents, like what more do you want, right? If that makes your kid happy and everything, like what more do you want,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
That's what we want.
There we go.
That's what I think every parent wants, is you want your child to grow up to be happy,
Yeah.
healthy, and live life. That's the most thing I'm learning now as I get older. And I want to say to teens and everybody else is
Yeah.
live life well. Don't feel like you have to do everything society tells you to do,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh my God, we're gonna keep on going, but
I know.
um one thing that I listened to quite a while ago and I've really embraced, and I've even shared this with other people, is that life is not just about, being happy. Life is about living, and that comes with sadness, it comes with fear, it comes with doubt, it comes with anger, it comes with joy, it comes with love, it comes with all these things, whether you're crying, laughing, all of it, that's all life. And it's all about experiencing all of that, all the emotions, and experiencing them to the fullest, right?
Yeah.
And if I'll give a simple example, but if you love someone and then you love them a lot, and then in some way, shape, or form you experience heartbreak, that sadness is because of the love that was there in the beginning.
Right.
And it's almost like this incredible balance of everything that just makes up life, right? You can't have
Yeah.
one without the other.
That's
So
so
yeah,
true.
yeah, just live. Just keep living. That's what Matthew McConaughey says. Just keep living.
Just keep living. Yeah, the art of living.
The art of living.
Awesome. Yes, great way to end. Positive note. Just keep living, keep loving, be kind, be encouraging. Child's passions.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. So until next time.
Until next time, hope you enjoyed listening or watching, whichever platform you were on. And we're already like, what are we like number one already on the charts?
Yeah,
Susan?
yeah, we're number one, and
for
number one
teenager
podcast
and
for
parents.
teen parents, yes.
There we go. And this is 2 episodes in, so we're doing really well.
We're doing really good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to, and if you're enjoying this, then feel free to follow or subscribe or like or do whatever you need to do. Just click some buttons. I mean, it doesn't take that much time.
Leave a comment, ask a question, ask us questions.
Ask us questions. We'd love to answer those questions, and it helps us as well, come up with different ideas and points to address during these podcasts. So yeah, just feel free, open dialogue.
I want to know what you're thinking.
Exactly.
It's not just us, it's everybody. So let's do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sure. Awesome.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Take care, everyone. And Susan, take care as well.
Yeah, you too. Have fun on the soccer field.
Thank you. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Okay. We did it.